blood policy. I mean, that's absolutely not in the scriptures. It says don't eat any blood or strangled meat.
Acts 15.
Yeah.
No, Acts.
Acts. Okay.
It has to be in the Christian scriptures or the New Testament.
Right.
Because Christ took the law out of the way, so it's got to be something specific for Christians.
But if that's the case, your two-witness rule doesn't apply because that's in the Hebrew scriptures.
Paul brings it up.
Right.
Therefore,
yeah, no, very, very specific. I think it's Corinthians, is it, where he brings it up again?
Sorry. Acts 15. Okay, and this was the decision of the council or the body of elders in Jerusalem.
Right. This is regarding blood, yeah?
Yeah. Therefore, my decision is not to trouble those from the nations who are turning to God, but to write to them to abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality,
Yep.
and what is strangled,
Yep.
and from blood.
Yes.
Now, what aspect of abstain do you not understand?
Okay, no problems. I mean, there was no blood transfusion back then, so they absolutely would have been talking about eating blood.
The word abstain, it doesn't say eat, it says abstain.
All right, no problems. Let me take you to. I can't remember the exact scripture. You're more knowledgeable probably than me on this.
I'll probably find it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sabbath, when it's talking about the Sabbath and what you can and can't do on the Sabbath, which was the most holiest of days, yeah, and the Sabbath would have been just as important as the no blood policy back then. No. Okay, but if you go, no, just stop for a second, please, my friend. Please let me finish. On the Sabbath, it says that you have to abstain from all work on the Sabbath. Yeah, you can't be doing any.
Yeah. But that was for the Jews, and it was for under the law.
Right. Yes, but this is the law. This is something. Please let me, please, my friend.
Superseded. It says Christ is the end of the law.
Right. Okay.
They are not under law, but under undeserved kindness.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So the new covenant supersedes the old.
Okay. So let's talk about the Sabbath for a minute. When Jesus was talking about the Sabbath.
Oh, but he was under law.
Right. Let's talk about when Jesus was discussing the Sabbath, and they said, "Is it right to work on the Sabbath, etc., etc." What did he say to them?
He said, "Man is law."
He said that if a calf falls into a hole, of course you should go in and you should drag the calf out and save its life on the Sabbath. Yeah. So it was acceptable to break the law of the Sabbath to save an animal's life.
The priests offered sacrifices on the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
So that was also
no. That's a red herring.
Why?
Because to take a calf out of the hole on Sabbath would have been work, but that was acceptable because it would save the animal's life. True or false?
That's right.
Right. So why would it be okay to break the Sabbath law to save an animal's life, but not break the blood law to save a human life? When as you know, human lives are much more important than animal lives.
Under the Mosaic law.
Forget the Mosaic law. Jesus was talking about. Jesus was. This is Jesus talking about the Sabbath.
Under the law died with Jesus.
He fulfilled it.
Right?
Yeah, but when Jesus was talking about the Sabbath, Jesus said you can take a calf out of the hole.
Yes, but he's talking to Jews who are under the law.
So what Jesus said doesn't count to modern day Jehovah's Witnesses then. But
that statement is so vast as to be ridiculous. Of course his words count.
Well, so when he said it's okay to pull a bull out of a hole on the Sabbath...
You've got to find out when he said it.
Good God.
Jesus says he is the end of the law.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. But I think you're missing you're pulling on this little hair over here and missing the entire point of what Jesus was saying was it was okay to break the Sabbath in order to save an animal's life.
You cannot see that the law was not in operation. Jesus or Paul later on said that the law or the church or the Jewish system is close to passing away.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Christ is the end of the law.
So
He
by
says
that reasoning, though, everything Christ said before he died is worthless.
Not everything.
Just certain things.
Certain things.
So certain things you don't agree with that Jesus said.
No, I agree that certain things that Jesus
Because
said
now
you
it
have to
sounds
take
like
the context.
now it sounds like you're sort of picking and choosing what
No,
Jesus
well,
said.
no, I'm not picking and choosing what Jesus says.
But Jesus
I'm
talks
picking
about
and
the
choosing-
Sabbath. This is what I'm trying to say to you.
Of course he did, but he was
Yes.
under law.
Right. So at what point did what Jesus said about that become null and void?
After he died.
So why doesn't everything Jesus said before he died become null and void?
Because he's not talking about everything.
But no, I'm
He's not
talking specifically about the
law all
Sabbath.
He's not talking about the law all the time.
Sorry.
Okay?
But
Jesus-
when Jesus came around and Jesus started his ministry, that there was the end of the old law,
No,
yeah?
when he died was the end of the law.
Right. It seems incredible that you pick and choose what Jesus sort of said there.
No.
I mean, it's because you'll show me scriptures, and then I show you scriptures back, and then you say, "Oh, that scripture doesn't count."
No, you are being inflexible.
I'm being
Yes, you
inflexible.
are being inflexible.
I mean, well, to be fair, I was going to say they're inflexible on the blood policy, but you've changed that 17 times in the last 50 years. You allow
Blood
blood
policy?
fractions. You allow blood fractions. You're not allowed blood fractions. You're allowed.
Let's put it this way. That
Yeah.
is a matter of conscience.
Right. How many people have died for what is now a matter of conscience that back in the day was absolutely banned? I mean, it wasn't always a matter of conscience, was it?
Well, it came into what fractions? Oh yeah.
What? So, my friend, I can't talk if you're just going to tell outright fibs. It was absolutely banned for any blood to be going into Jehovah's Witnesses. It was in 1981 or something like that.
Staying all earlier than that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is now you'll take blood fractions.
Some will.
Some will. Yeah, but it's allowed. It's allowed.
It's up to conscience.
Whereas previously it wasn't allowed.
I don't think
Previously, if you had had a blood transfusion, you would have been disfellowshipped.
A transfusion as opposed to a fraction.
Yeah, but a fraction is literally just a part of blood that's pumped into you. It's blood, just part of it.
What you're looking at now,
Where do you think blood fractions come from?
Obviously, they come from blood.
Right, so
But-
you are
but-
putting somebody else's blood into your body, therefore you're not
Yes.
abstaining from
Might
blood.
not even
you
be
see-
somebody else's. It might be horses.
But again, that's neither here nor there because it says abstain from blood. It doesn't say from human. It actually doesn't mention human blood
You
at
know
all.
what? We can talk to if you want to find fault with the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses, you will find fault. But you know, in the end, what matters is what Jehovah thinks, not what you think, not what I think.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the end, is what Jehovah thinks. So therefore, if you're out doing your thesis to find fault, you'll find fault.
I wasn't trying to find fault. It's just that when you start saying this scripture
No,
doesn't
just
apply
a
and
minute,
Jesus, what
just a
Jesus
minute,
said there
just a
doesn't
minute.
apply, then
Just a
that's a
minute.
bit weird.
No, what we're saying it applied when Jesus. Okay, right. However, Christ came as a high priest
Yeah.
of the good things that have already taken place, and he passed through the greater and more perfect tent, not made with hands, not of this creation. And he entered into the holy place, not with the blood of goats and young bulls, but with his own blood,
Yeah.
once for all time,
Yeah.
and obtained an everlasting deliverance for us.
Yeah, that's why everyone's got to drink his blood and eat his flesh every.
Well, if the blood
If
of
you
gold,
really think that, when you think about the last meal that Jesus had with his disciples, what were they celebrating?
He was about to die and
Yes, what were they celebrating that night?
his last night on
No.
earth.
They were celebrating the Passover.
Right.
Why was this Passover celebrated?
That goes back to Egypt with the blood being put
So
onto
it was
the.
the passing over of the firstborn of the Israelites, right?
Right.
So when they were having that meal,
Yeah.
they would have had the very same things that they had at the Passover of before they left Egypt. So they would have bitter greens, they would have
Unleavened bread,
because
yeah.
and those were the things
But he
they
says,
had at
drink
the
of this
table.
because it is my blood, and eat of this because it is my flesh. And if you want to be
But
saved, I'm
was
paraphrasing,
he-
if you want to be
was he
saved.
was he talking about his literal flesh, or was he talking
No,
about
he said
symbolically?
he said drink the bread and drink the wine and eat the
Is
bread
that
to
what that
symbolise.
To symbolize what?
Yeah.
What was he going to do then? He was going to shed his blood for who?
for all of mankind,
for all of
yeah,
mankind.
to save Adam's
so
sin, etc.
therefore, they are partaking, they are remembering him
Yeah.
yearly.
Yeah.
Because the Passover was celebrated yearly. They are remembering yearly what he did for them. Makes the ransom more palpable.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they
So the point is they were not eating his flesh, they were not drinking his blood.
no, they were
But
eating bread and drinking wine to
Yes.
symbolise it, which is what he told everybody to do on Infinitum to remember
I'll
him
tell
as
you-
respect.
And there's something else. There are people who actually thought he meant eating his own flesh, and they actually left following. So when-
That's crazy.
No, they did.
Oh, no, I believe you.
And
That-
it was
them
against-
people are
and it was
crazy, is what I
against-
mean.
And it was against the law at the time. So why would Jesus tell them to do something that was against the law, which is
But he
the
didn't,
law
did he?
that
He said eat the bread and
That's
drink the
exactly-
wine, which is
that's
what we should all be
exactly
doing
it. But from the very
onwards.
beginning, if you go from Genesis,
Yeah,
God taught his people that blood and sleep.
Yeah.
And it was sacred because that's